Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University, this is a Channel 18 Rockbridge News Update.
Welcome to today's Rockbridge Report live news update. I'm Parker Butler. It appears Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg has given in to pressure from U.S. lawmakers. He will now testify at the Senate hearing on April 10th. This follows intensifying scrutiny of Facebook after Cambridge Analytica reportedly accessed information from about 50 million Facebook users and without their knowledge. Zuckerberg's willingness to testify may mean Google CEO Sundar Pichai and Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey could be next. Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley officially invited all of them to the hearing. The Federal Trade Commission announced it was investigating Facebook for its privacy practices yesterday. Facebook has also been accused of manipulating its users and allowing Russian bots to divide Americans by spreading false information. Retired Supreme Court Justice John Paul Stevens is calling for a repeal of the Second Amendment. The New York Times published an op-ed by this 97-year-old today that said the repeal would weaken the NRA. In a 2008 ruling, the Supreme Court held that the Second Amendment gives individuals the right to own a gun for self-defense. Stevens was on the losing end of that ruling. He said that the decision gave the NRA a, quote, propaganda weapon of immense power. But repealing the amendment would be extremely difficult and require an overwhelming majority to pass. A Michigan State University official who oversaw a clinic that employed Larry Nassar was charged today with sexually promiscuing students. The investigation alleges William Strample, previous dean of the College of Osteopathic Medicine, also compiled nude student selfies on his work computer. He was also charged with failing to enforce or monitor protocols set for Nassar after a female patient complained of inappropriate sexual contact. The 70-year-old has been jailed and is scheduled for arraignment this afternoon. Louisiana prosecutors will not file charges against two Baton Rouge police officers involved in the 2016 death of Alton Sterling. Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry says the officers' actions were, quote, well-founded and reasonable. Video of the incident shows Sterling pinned to the ground by the officers before he was shot. Landry says there was a struggle between Sterling and the two officers before he was pinned to the ground. The officer said Sterling reached for a gun.
After a thorough and exhaustive review of the evidence, the facts that can be established beyond a reasonable doubt, the law and jurisprudence of the state of Louisiana, and the obligations of prosecutors under the Code of Professional Conduct, the Louisiana Department of Justice cannot proceed with a prosecution of either Officer Lake or Officer Salamone.
Landry says a loaded gun was found in Sterling's right front pocket that night. New video of the shooting is expected to be released this week. There's no word on what it shows. Another state is expected to sue the Trump administration over citizenship and the census. The Massachusetts Secretary of State told the Associated Press today that his state will join California and New York. That follows the Commerce Department's Monday announcement of a plan to ask a citizenship question in the 2020 census. The census is meant to count total population, not just U.S. citizens. It informs decisions on things like federal funding and congressional districts. President Trump's re-election campaign says making people specify their citizenship status is, quote, common sense. Critics believe the question is anti-immigrant, that would result in lower population counts and therefore less federal funding for states with high immigration populations. A legal battle is underway for the destruction of frozen eggs and embryos at the fertility clinic in Cleveland. A preliminary hearing was held at a Cuyahoga County courtroom on Monday. More than 2,000 eggs and embryos were destroyed at university hospitals earlier this month after a malfunction at a storage tank, which affected more than 600 couples hoping to have children. A number of class action and individual lawsuits have already been filed. University hospitals say they filed a motion to consolidate the cases because that will provide the best solution for parents. The lost eggs and embryos were the last chance for some couples to have their biological children. That's all for today's news update. Tune in Thursday afternoon at 4:30 for the full Rockbridge Report. In the meantime, be sure to visit our website at rockbridgereport.com www.wlu.edu for more coverage.